Hey, do you want to learn about 5 steps that I'll take to become a really, really good artist? Well, I'm going to give you 5 not so easy steps to get to where you can become a really good artist. And somebody, I don't want to say a master, but become a really good artist where you know how to do a painting. And so to get there, I'm going to show you these 5 different steps how to get there. So the first one is master your medium. So what does that mean? It's like, what kind of painting do you like to do? What kind of artist and what kind of medium? And that means like pastel, watercolor, oils, ink, pen and ink. There's all different kinds of art, right? And so you have to master that medium. That's the first thing you want to do. And when I say master it, it's not to do paintings, but just simply take that. Like, I'm a watercolorist, so if you want to become a really good watercolorist, take and get the best brands and get the best paints, and actually don't start with student grade. Go with good stuff, and if you don't know what good stuff is, then yeah, take a class and find out, and ask your friends who are artists, ask some of the professionals out there, ask them what they use, and then just basically learn how to use the medium, how to put it on a paper, or how to put it on a canvas, how to put it on whatever you're putting on. Use and learn the medium. You can't do really good paintings until you know how to use the medium. You can't drive a car unless you learn how to drive the car. You have to learn the medium. And and how do you pick your medium that you want? Usually it's what you like. Look at some painters and see what they painted, and do you like that kind of painting? Do you like oil paints? Do you like watercolor? So master the medium. All right, so that's step number one. And when I say master it, and not to do paintings. Well, you can do paintings with it too, but I would say take a sheet of paper or canvas and just work the medium so you can tell how to get a soft edge, hard edge, and that as with in a painting wise, because when you're doing a painting, it's always like you're just copying in something in the photograph usually, and you're not really just using the paper. And even get a cheap block of paper and just try the watercolor if you're doing a watercolor, and just learn what your brushes can do, learn what your paper can do, learn about your materials. You have to learn how to use your materials basically. So that's learning your medium or mastering your medium. All right, so that's step number one. And when you get done with that, I mean, you can do the step 2, 3, 4, and 5 all at the same time sometimes when you want to do a painting and stuff. But first off, the first thing I think is learn how to master your medium. All right, step number 2 is learn to get your drawing right. And when I talk about drawing is so important. But if you learn to use a projector or all these kind of mechanisms nowadays, you just have to get your drawing to when it's good basically, and it's right. Some people like to freehand, and that's great. I love the freehand. I freehanded for 35 years as an illustrator. So I learned how to draw from my imagination. Some people can't do that, but they still have great paintings. And how do they get their paintings so well? And how are they mastering their medium? And when they're doing a painting, they may take it and project it. There's a thing called Da Vinci Eye on your cell phone that you can use to help you out. They have a thing called a Lucy that helps you out your drawing. Projector is projecting an image against the wall. There are many, many, many artists who do that. Now, I say if you learn how to freehand, it does help you a lot when it comes to creating your image and learning how to do composition, which, by the way, is step number 3, is study design and composition. So if you're a really good drawer, that also helps with step number 3, is learning about design and composition and putting your painting together. What are you looking for? What are you going to paint? What is like the best thing that you can paint? And it's got to be composed right. It has to be, no tangents, and it's got to be not heavy weight on one side, and all those things about composition. And there's many books written about it. And so learn that, the third thing, after you get your drawing right, because if you can't do your drawing, how are you going to do the composition? How are you going to draw the right compositions and the right design of your image? And in my classes every Thursday, I always talk about no tan and black and white, and the value pattern. All that thing is part of the design. So then you learn how to design your image. And yes, you can just pencil that. You can learn that by just penciling. You don't have to actually paint to learn design and composition. And do you do it inside as plain air, inside as just like a studio, or do you do it outside plain air painting? Either one. It's all about what you just learning and learning and learning and practicing. And this, all three of these so far, is not about doing a painting. It's not about doing a painting at all. It's about learning those things and drawing and learning composition and design and learning your medium without having to actually do a painting, because if you don't know how to do these things, it's hard to do a painting. And I know you do a painting to learn these things too, but try to do it also as not a painting. Try to just do from your imagination drawing and trying to design something from when you're out there with your camera and looking through your camera and looking at design and composition. And that's also helping you out, so you don't have to actually do a painting to learn design and composition. And you should draw, but to learn how to draw, but there's many tools and mechanisms that will help you to get that drawing right. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3. Now 4 is learn the process. What does that mean? It means that when you're doing your watercolor, there's a process you go. Remember my Becker Art 3-step? I have a Becker Art 3-step process that I use on every single one of my paintings. I do my lights first with my color composition and design, or scheme, my color scheme, and my lights as I do first as a watercolorist. If you're an oil painter, that's not gonna fly, because with that, usually with the oil painting, they go from dark to light. So learn the process of doing the painting. Learn how to paint. Learn how to paint the process of putting down a wash first. What do? You pencil it in first, right? The process of watercolor is pencil it in first and do a good drawing and all those things like that. Do a good design. And it almost follows these 5 steps also. And so it's kind of funny that these 5 steps are also are part of the watercolor design and actually learning how to do it, be a good watercolorist. So learn the process. Learn the process of putting pencil down, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Learn the process. And that's now you're doing a painting. Now you're doing a painting. And you can do a painting as practice, right? And commissions are the worst way of learning something. So don't take on commission and then try to learn from your commissions. Just work on yourself and practice things on your own and your own design, and also your own photographs, and or take the photographs that we take every week from from these royalty-free images on the web. That's fine. Don't use those for competitions though, okay? So remember, you can work from anything. You can work from old artist masters and work from them and learn their process and learn their composition, drawing, learn the medium that they used, and learn the process. All right, so that's step number 4. And the final thing was, hopefully by this time when you learn the process, you learn how to do the painting, and then you keep on practicing until you get a good painting. And then after the good painting, then you learn how to present your art. You learn how to put the frames on it. You learn how to do a good job at displaying it and how to market it, how to do all that stuff. That's the very end. That's when you finally become a good artist, and you then present your work as a good artist. And this is also just as important, because I've seen so many paintings that some students bring into my presence, and they are just framed terribly, or they don't have framed at all, and they have a certain way of looking that looks cheap, and so it's also as important to represent your art well. And so that's the last thing. But that's after, so really there's only 4 when it comes to the painting process, and there's 1 afterwards, how to present it and sell it and all that kind of stuff. All right, so that's my 5 ways of becoming a good artist. And I don't want to say things like becoming a master or a pro. Just becoming a good artist is good enough, because we're always going to be learning until we pass away. That's the great thing about being an artist, is that you can learn forever. You can learn to the day you die. It's going to be, it's going to be a great process too, And so you get to a point though where you want to have good artwork, right? And so just becoming a good artist is these 4 things, and then 5 things to present your work. So, and like I said, they're not easy. It's going to take you a lot of time. I have thousands of paintings I did. And I've only now become, because I wasn't at a certain time, I was an illustrator, so I wasn't looking about becoming like a artist that does paintings, for a living. I was in in advertising, and so I didn't need to do things that were for painting wise. I didn't have to do watercolor. I did all on the computer, and I did with markers at one time. So that was a whole different thing. But the process is always the same, though. I think, for becoming an artist, a photographic artist, a painter, basically. Becoming a painter, these are the 5 steps that I think you should take. And like I said, hopefully, if you forgot what I said about them, just rewind the tape and go through them again. And then if you need to ask me anything more about this, please, in the comments below, ask me questions. All right. So thanks a lot for watching, and please subscribe. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.